Hello and welcome to Edicomy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the feature news for today, that is for 22nd of December 2021. India-Russia relationships have had a time-tested friendship with each other, and that is why this becomes one of the most significant international relationships that one must study. What has been the impact of India relationship with each other on international politics? We will also understand what has been the way in which India and Russia have carved their relationship into 5 and 6 different kind of areas. We will also understand what are the pain points in the relationship, what are the evolving strategies in the relationship that India and Russia have, and what is its impact in the international arena, right? So this article becomes a very significant article when we talk of the geopolitics of Europe and Asia, and especially East Asia, right? This is in context of India and Russia holding 21st India-Russia annual summit, right? It was a summit which was held in person in Delhi. Now, this is something in which the Premier of Russia also participated physically, and it holds a lot of significance because leaders these days are not meeting people, other leaders in person, but Russian Premier did so in person, right? So it shows the kind of relationship that India and Russia have. There has been 50 years of the India-Russia friendship treaty now. So this is a very, very valuable relationship that could be asked in the examinations also. So I would like to wish good evening to Netra, good evening Sam, good evening Bhavani, good evening to Ashish, good evening Pooja, good evening Preeti, good evening Surya, all of you, good evening, and we will discuss this conversation about India-Russia relationship. Bhavani says, hi Pooja, just go through the details of the video. Yes, go through the videos, that particular video on how to make notes. Be regular on 5 to 6 days and we will understand the whole curriculum, how to make notes. We follow the ADEC principle, right? ADEC talks of ADECK, analysis, some important keywords, right? For the analysis, data points, examples, case studies and keywords. If we collect this from any article, following that particular video on note making, we will be able to make notes. Initially, it will take time. Initially for a month, 1.5, 2 months, it will take time, but slowly and steadily, it will become a very, very fast, rigorous and smooth process. It will be an intense activity, but then some amount of intensity is required to be able to deal with the current affairs. And yes, in a couple of months, it will definitely become a lot more smoother. And for the next year, you will find it a lot more easier. There will be hardly any work to do the next year, right? So, hi Ravi, hi Amblan, hi Rahul. Good evening to all of you. Good evening, Tiyasha. All right. So, Bhavani says, be calm in the beginning. It will be all fine. We all have gone through this process. Great. Thank you for assisting each other. Great. So, talking about India-Russia relationship, let us quickly get on to understanding the international dynamics before anything. Russia is the largest country in the world, area-wise, largest country in the world. And after that is Canada, and then we have China and USA. India is the 7th largest country. We are talking of the largest country associating with the 7th largest country for resources. India happens to be the 2nd most populated country in the world. Not that Russia is not a very, very populated country. It is amongst the 10 most populated countries in the world, but still very, very sparsely populated. But Russia does contain valuable resources. It has a very, very strategic position in the Arctic Circle region. It also has more than 50% of resources, in fact more than 80% of those resources in areas inhabited by only 10% people. Yet it has got scientific capabilities. Yet it has got defense capabilities. Yet it has got several strategic capabilities in international fora. One good example is its position in United Nations. Then another good position that it enjoys is in the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It also enjoys a very, very strategic position in BRICS, one of the important nations in BRICS. See, India has had a time-tested relationship with Russia. Russia has delivered huge amount of weaponry to India in the last 50 years. Many of the naval vessels, aircraft carriers, many of the fighter planes, many of the armed forces equipments, supplies, they have been directly met from Russia. 60%, even when India has diversified its supplies from France, from USA, from countries like Israel, India still has more than 60% of its supplies from Russia itself, erstwhile USSR or Russia. Now, lately, because of issues in European Union and issues with Russia, see what happened was after the downfall of USSR, same week, this week itself, 30 years back in the year 1991, because of the breakdown of Russia and many smaller factions, a lot of countries came into existence. Some examples are countries like Ukraine, Belarus, and then we have Georgia, Armenia, a lot of other countries also came up. Now, earlier, the ideology was towards left, that means communist, and there was another world, the Western world, which was in favor of the capitalist economy. Right. So though in Second World War there was some kind of association between them, but it soon broke off. And because of this, there was a place in the East Europe. It would be called as a place where there would be interaction of the Russian ideology, USSR ideology, and the capitalist ideology of the Western forces. Right. So both of them, both the ideologies wanted to build a buffer in the East European countries. And on one hand, Russia or USSR would want these nation to align with its own policies. On the other, USA would want them to join forces like NATO or forces like European Union, so that they align their the way they think, the strategies that they have. Not only the strategies, they also, if they align their strategies, the trade also gets aligned. The international relations also get aligned. Friends of friends will be our friends. So because of this, in 2014, Russia and Ukraine had some problem, because Ukraine, there was a possible entry of Ukraine in NATO. I have spoken about this previously. Russia did not like it, and there were issues because of which it also annexed Crimea. Now, because it went away from the European area to Russia, it was also annexed from one of the countries very close to the European Union. Because of this, European Union was not very happy with Russia. Although Russia was not it was not a major power. Major powers at that time and currently are USA and China. But still, Russia holds a significant value in this European Union region, especially East Europe. There was not very good terms in between these two associations, European Union and Russia, because of which Russia had to slowly and steadily move more towards China and countries like Iran, Pakistan and Turkey. On the other hand, countries here in the East region, they grew closer to Europe, grew closer to USA. India's relationship also with Russia, it slowly and steadily, it went cold because India wanted to diversify its inputs. Because of all these things, these were time testing, times for a relationship between India and Russia. Unlike relationship of India and America, where America seeks that India follow CAATSA, right? So India does not take in weapons or machineries or does not do trade with Russia, North Korea or Iran, these three countries. This is what is the condition under CAATSA, right? Russia does not impose any kind of sanctions like this, that India has to trade only with Russia. So Russia has become a time-tested friend of India. But on the other hand, lately, we see that Russia has also joined forces with Pakistan, joined forces with contemporaries and controversial partner like China, because of which India is not very happy. On the other hand, India has joined forces with Quad nations, right, which Russia does not very well approve of. It calls it as Asian NATO. Russia is irked by it. So largely we have spoken of the issues that they are there, right? First of all, Russia's participation with Pakistan and China, presence of the Quad nations, right? Then we have East Europe issues, diversification of India's supplies. These are major issues that irks Russia. India also is disturbed by Russia's participation with Pakistan and China. So this is the international realm under which we will talk about the relationship between India and Russia. So a quick recap of some of the major things that we studied. Despite all this, we see Russia and India held their bilateral meeting, and it was the first time they held their 2+2 dialogue. Defense minister and the foreign affairs minister, they participated. They spoke about the multiple ways in which they can exploit the Arctic region, of which Russia has a huge access. we have already started looking at the north-south corridor. See, so St. Petersburg to India. This is one of the corridors in which the transit can happen between both the countries. The traditional route is very long. It goes via the Red Sea and then Mediterranean and then going all over north and then reaching the St. Petersburg. So this is almost 2 times, even more than 2 times the route. This is one of the routes. The other routes, if you remember, was the Chennai-Vladivostok corridor that we are talking of, right? So if you look up the map, we are talking of this, this kind of movement. We are talking of this. And because of this, India has a huge access to the Far East region, right? So this is the kind of partnership that they are talking of. You should remember the keywords here. I will speak of only the keywords here, which will make things far more easier for you to grasp. So first is Chennai Vladivostok Maritime Corridor. This is one keyword. The other keyword is Northern Sea route. Northern Sea route is the Northern Sea route, this one. And the third one, that is the North-South corridor. You should be able to draw this on a map, right? So what we are trying to do is ensure that 80% of Russia's natural gas and the regions with energy, the north part, it gets exploited with India's support. This is one thing, right? Then there's another cooperation that is happening with India, that is through Make in India scheme. Making of the electronic and warfare products like AK weapons in India itself. 6 lakh of this weapons will be produced in India. Russia will also transfer technology and technological capability to India in this process, right? Another good thing is that Russia will also be participating in India's Chabahar port project via Iran, right? So localized production, international relations between both the countries, and looking at the kind of trade both the countries have. We have discussed this. They have only $10 billion trade. This ought to increase, because if we have defense relationship, scientific relationship, technological relationship, and a strategic relationship, we must also translate it to a relationship of better trade relations. They have planned to increase this $10 billion trade to $50 billion trade in the coming times. But yes, it is one challenge that both the countries are facing right now, right? So Russia also has a pivot to the East policy, because of which it looks at countries like Pakistan and China, but at the same time, it also tries to balance its relationship with a country like India. Okay, so right now it is building a buffer in the here in the East Asian region. Both the sides are trying to build a buffer, and they are on the there is a tussle which country will be following the suit of Russia, or they'll be following the suit of NATO. That is the issue between these two groups of nations. But then how does India tread the path? That is the best part. Russia does not want India to take a stand. They have separate bilateral relationships. And so with Ukraine as well. India does have a decent partnership with Ukraine. And Ukraine is not unhappy that India is friends with Russia. Only USA is. This is the better part about this kind of relationship, right? So having understood some of the aspects, let us quickly get on to some components from the feature news today as well, right? So in this relationship that both the countries have, 28 agreements were signed. The same: intellectual property, outer space, geological exploration, cultural exchange, energy exchange, science and technology. These are the fields in which they signed cooperation, right? So one agreement very similar to what we have with the USA, these countries are also signing. It is called as reciprocal exchange of logistical support, right? So they will be exchanging logistics in high seas or places where they both have, either of them have military presence, right? They both spoke about an important issue, that is of regional security in Afghanistan. Both of them are allied with the fact that they must deal with drug menace, they must deal with terrorism, they must deal with humanitarian crisis in a country like Afghanistan. What is the kind of relationship that they share right now? They share multifaceted relationship, one of them being nuclear cooperation. Nuclear cooperation. Just a bit. Yes. So the nuclear cooperation relationship that they share, this is at Kudankulam, right? Russia is building 6 of these nuclear reactors in Kudankulam in Tamil Nadu, and this is a significant relationship. We will study the significance of nuclear power in the times of climate change. Another article which is pending from our end, I will discuss this in the coming times. The second one is increasing of trade and investment. So trade increasing the trade to $30 billion and increasing bilateral investment to $50 billion. This is what has been planned, right? Defense and security cooperation, for example, the joint development of BrahMos, Sukhoi 30 from Russia, T-90 tanks, so many of the naval vessels taken from Russia. So these are the defense and security cooperation. Joint development of GLONASS, space cooperation is there where it is. And then we have cultural exchanges and cooperation, learning of each other's languages, passing on the culture, soft power exchange, and science and technology as well, right? So for example, development of traditional knowledge, digital library, right? So, national knowledge network between both the countries. These are the kind of relationship that they share. But do you see trade here? No, we do not see. And that is the reason that trading must get increased between both the countries, right? Right now, Russia and China also have got a very good trade. They've got $100 billion mutual trade, but India and Russia have got only $10 billion. India, China also have got $100 billion trade, but Russia and China, it must accelerate, right? So this is why this cooperation was there. We saw these 5-6 pillars of cooperation and trade. It is enough for you to be able to, reflect various sides. All you have to do is not write all these details, just write defense, write the example, write trade, write the targets and present, write space, write GLONASS. Roscosmos is the counterpart of ISRO and NASA in India and USA respectively. Roscosmos, it is the state agency. Similarly, Rosatom is the state agency for just like what we have in India as ONGC and NTPC, they have Rosatom there, right? So exploration and refineries. Right? So in the changing world, you see, this world has become multipolar, and because of this multipolarity, the relationship have evolved everywhere, and so has India and Russia relationship as well. Why has it been time tested? Is because they both have been allies. Russia has always respected India's stand for diversification of and expansion of United Nations. Russia also has helped India and China in ensuring that the tension in the Ladakh region, it subsides. So Russia has helped India many times. On the other hand, India also says that when we look at East Asia, we must focus on ASEAN and not China. The focus of growth in East Asia should be ASEAN and not China. This is what India states, and Russia is coming to terms to this kind of strategy for India, right? What is the main reason why Russia wants to associate with India? Is that it does not want an association like NATO, an Asian NATO also to get formed. See, in Asian NATO, if you see, the closest country that the Russia has in Asian NATO is India itself. So in this, we have Japan, Australia, USA and India. India is the closest ally, right? So Russia openly speaks about it to India. These are the kind of irritants. So when you note this down in key terms or in keywords, you got to note down the 5 irritants in the relationship, 5 plus points in the relationship, some data about it or some cases about it, and this is what is India-Russia relationship. Similarly, we'll work out a relationship for India-USA as well, and so with other countries, and this is what will fulfill the demands of international relationships. New areas of cooperation, Russia's Far East, exploration of Far East, right? Arctic region is the northern region, Far East is the Vladivostok region that we were speaking of above Japan, right? And Central Asia. So Central Asia, when we speak of, India recently held a meeting with the Central Asian countries. All these premiers, 5 Central Asian countries, they should be attending the 26-day parade in India. So India is trying to increase ties with the Central Asian countries. Do connect this point with the North-South corridor, right? North-South corridor, okay? So, India-Russia relationship, the challenges, Pakistan, Russia rapprochement, the reversal of the relationship and making it better. It has reignited after CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Russia's involvement with Pakistan has increased, right? Similarly, the Russia-China relationship, right? This is also expanded, right? Russia's engagement with Taliban, this is important, and they both are allied in this, right? India and Russia. So these are some issues that Russia and India face, right? What is the way forward is, projects like this, North-South corridor, the Chennai-Vladivostok Maritime Corridor or North Sea Corridor, right? So these are the important ways in which this relationship can move forward or also increasing the trade between both the countries. So what we studied here is in India-Russia relationship uh, is the context in which the relationship got formed 50 years back, right? Those were the times of Cold War, and both the sides needed some allies to be with. This is one. We also understood some important data related to India-Russia relationship, or important data related to Russia itself, being the largest country, India being the second largest populated country. We also understood what are the kind of plus factors in the relationship, what are the issues in the relationship. We understood the geopolitics that is happening in Europe, because of which Russia has to look at the allies in the East, right? India being one of them. So we studied examples of the issues that both the countries are facing with each other, and we also understood what is the way forward. We also will try to draw a map, right, when we talk of this issue. So when a question comes on this theme, we have studied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different aspects of this relationship. This is how we should be able to cover other relationships also. When a question comes, examine the nature of India-Russia ties in a changing world, what should be your answer? The answer will become lengthy, I should say, because you know so many different aspects. But this is where you have to become a pen drive which can consolidate the material anytime required and expand it any moment required. So the different dimensions or nature of India-Russia ties, this is where you will try to present the answer in 7-8 points with different examples, with a structure. What is the most important aspect of India-Russia relationship? What are the issues? Analyze them, examine them, present some examples with introduction and conclusion. This will be your answer, right? So let us quickly look at what people are saying here. We have Akhila says, hi, hello Akhila. Rahul says, what things do Russia supplies to India after defense? Vikrant says, with US, EU sanctions, Russia is now too much dependent on China. Okay, that's true. Only China buys its products. Vikrant says, we are forced to buy a Russian weapon to please them, otherwise Russia will go more closer to China. But tree laws was not signed. Yes, tree laws was not signed, Asim. It will be signed in due time. Okay. So this is the conversation, and we are concluding the conversation. If you like this conversation, if you like the way we proceed, please share some love on us through comments and shares and likes. And if there are inputs, please put them under the comment section. We will definitely get back to you, and we will see you tomorrow evening for the current affairs discussion, and after that the feature news discussion. Only thing, don't get deflected by the conversations that disturb you. Remember, you are preparing for the exam. The idea is to get through the exam at the not paying a price of peace, but yes, understanding the issues to the core, right? So thank you everybody. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody else. I will see you tomorrow evening. Thank you, Babani. Thank you, Surya. I will see you all tomorrow evening. Remember A-Deck. A-Deck is what will help you in consolidating all you have studied. This is all khichdi that was there, right? You have to refine this further, and each of you will have to have separate notes. Everybody. We cannot even copy anybody else's notes because we don't know what are the keywords for the other person, right? So thank you, Hima. Thank you, Netra. Thank you, Ashish. Pooja, I would like to say that if you are a new person here, be regular for a week and you will be able to understand how we work. It is not very tough. Many of the people here are here for 1 month plus 1.5 months. Be here for a week, and then slowly and steadily we will gain pace in the whole initiative. Jyotish says, sir, how about the S-400 deal? What is the way forward? This is going. It has already been deployed. One of the S-400 missile system has already been deployed in India, and USA is not going ahead with the Katsa with India because USA has its own interest. There are many deals, drone deals, fighter plane deals going to happen between India and USA, because of which USA will not impose Katsa on India, right? So that is it. Thank you, Tiyasha. Thank you, Ravi. I will see you guys tomorrow evening for the current affairs. Okay. So good evening and good night. Thank you.